Hello, everyone. Welcome to In the Corner, the place where every cricketer wants to be. I'm your host, Callum and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the podcast. Well, Australia have turned the tables in Adelaide and squared the series 1-1. And joining me to discuss the second test match is Kartik. Kartik, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, man. How are you?
I'm very well. Unfortunately, the game was over inside 3 days, but what a spectacle it was at Adelaide Oval. Home test match for me, so any chance to get down to the cricket is a good one, and it was a fantastic atmosphere at Adelaide Oval, particularly on days 1 and 2. Over 50,000. I think it was 134,000 for the 3 days
Yes.
of the test match, which is fantastic numbers. So, yeah, a few different talking points. As we said, the tables have turned a little bit, not so much focused on India in this episode. So apologies to the Indian fans, but there's lots to talk about. But Kartik, before we get started, we do want to thank our sponsor, which is Pitch It Up. Pitch It Up have fantastic bowling machines, which are great for your Christmas presents, perfect to set up in the backyard, suitable to each how to do pace, spin, very, very appropriate for inclusive cricket as well. Great for school cricket as well. So make sure that you head over to Pitch It Up, and they are licensed by many different retailers around Australia. So make sure that you go and support Pitch It Up. Kartik, what was your key moment of the test match? For me, it was Mitchell Starc knocking over Jaswal, first ball, LBW, and potentially a little bit of karma for Jaswal after saying Starc bowls a little bit too slowly in Perth.
Yeah, it was kind of expected. Australia will have the dominant hand walking into Adelaide, favorite ground. They've never lost a day-night test here in last 8 occasions they've played here. Yes, Mitchell Starc setting up the tone right from the first ball, and that's something what he's done in the past. That really sends out the message that we are there on the attack. So yeah, it was a good highlight of the game. For me, the highlight was Travis Head's celebration, home ground, new baby, back into run, and yeah, just lifting the entire crowd, lifting the side, and he was the difference between the two sides in the first innings.
Yeah, I thought Australia got the better of the conditions, and the tendency is to bat first in day-night cricket so that you can sort of dictate a little bit better when you get to use the new ball under lights. But for those that were there at the ground on Friday on day one, it was really humid. It was really sticky. It was really hot. I thought it was great conditions for the Australians to bowl, and Mitchell Starc has an impeccable record with the pink ball. I believe he averages 16 with the pink ball. And he took 6 for 48 in the first innings, which is his best figures in Test cricket. Took a couple of wickets in the second innings. So I thought he really set it up for Australia. Very close to getting the man of the match. I think if he took maybe another two or so wickets in the an additional 2 wickets in the second innings, I think he would have got that man at the match performance, because I thought he set it up for Australia. And as we sort of said, that first ball, LBW to Jaswal, really set it up. But the Australian pace attack was back to their best, and we saw glimpses of it in the Perth Test match, particularly in that first innings where they were able to skittle India for 150. But it was great pressure. There wasn't too many freebies, and to bowl out India under 200 twice in the game is a very good effort, considering what talented batting lineup they have.
Yeah, so definitely the pressure was on India walking into second innings, but I think it was more of a psychological and a mental pressure which Australia had put in, that this is a pink ball, this is something you're not comfortable with, and this is something we'll attack you with. So Indians had that thing in their mind going into second innings, and that was reflecting in the kind of shots they were offering. Yes, some great balls, some beach. If you look at Scotty Pollard, first ball does the magic. Pat Cummins' delivery to Rohit Sharma was top of off, as they call it. Perfect delivery. So yeah, some great bowling by Australian bowlers, and this is something which was lacking from the Indian bowlers. There was a lot of pressure on Jasprit Bumrah to perform, and he was the only one who was standing out in the first test. So yeah, I think he's just breaking his back, putting too much effort there, and he's not been supported well. How Mitchell Starc was supported by Pat Cummins and Scotty Boland.
Yeah, as you said, Kartik, the three quicks for Australia, and Scotty Boland got massive cheers when he came into bowl, the cult figure of Australian cricket. Yeah, he hasn't played a test match for nearly 18 months and hit the ball, got to it straight away, took a wicket off a no ball, unfortunately, in the first innings. And then in the second dig, he was able to dismiss Juswell, nicked off for 24. Let's talk about Travis Head now. Hometown hero here. The reception that he receives when he walks to the crease is truly outstanding, and no wonder he loves playing at Adelaide Oval. Three centuries in a row, two against the West Indies, and then obviously this one against India. And his record against India is something that's being talked about a lot online. And obviously, World Test Championship final 100, scored a final in the World Cup. Scored 100 in the World Cup final back in 2023. And now, this is probably one of the more dominant displays that I've seen from Travis Head, because he came to the crease and, McSweeney and Marnus in particular took a lot of balls to get their runs, but he completely changed the momentum of the game. And his strike rate was the reason that Australia was able to take 5 wickets in the evening session on day 2. The way that he was able to hit Ashwin down the ground, I thought was spectacular. Once again, he's always slashing through the offside so well, but he was able to, pick off those singles and not have as many, not have many dot balls, which was really good. And there was a really nice flow to his innings. What did you make of the South Australian?
Yeah, I think more than his batting and his attacking cricket, it's his mindset, which is intimidating the Indians a lot. Uh, he's very positive. He's very confident. The body language, everything just speaks for itself. Even in the first second innings, he was contributing, but he didn't get that support from any other batsman. Had they been a support, he would have won that game for Australia as well. But yeah, walking into his home test, one of his favorite venues, and yeah, they just killed it from the ball one.
I suppose the most controversial talking point of the test match was the instances of behaviour from Mohammed Siraj. And I think it all kind of started on day one where Marnus had to pull away because a drunk individual in the crowd decided to run across the back of the sight screen with a beer snake. And, everyone in the crowd saw it and had a laugh. But I don't think Siraj was really understanding what was going on behind him. But to chuck the ball at the stumps, I didn't think was a particularly good look for him. And I think there was an instance on the sort of early part of day 2 where he appealed for an LBW, was basically running straight to the keeper, doing the celebrate appeal, and the umpire didn't get it, but didn't give it because there was a massive inside edge. So, I think those are 2 instances that Siraj would particularly like to take back. But I suppose the main talking point was when he gave Travis Head a send-off after 140. And I'm all for giving people send-offs, particularly if you dismiss them for a low score or you've got the wood over someone. But I think it's quite disrespectful when you're giving a send-off to someone who's just hit you to all parts of the ground and particularly made 140. And I think if Siraj had his time again, he certainly wouldn't have done that, and definitely a mistake to do it in front of his home crowd. What did you make of the behaviour of
Yeah,
Mohammed Siraj during this particular game?
yes, he's one of the characters who want to be in some sort of limelight. That's just my opinion. If you remember last series, he had some of the comments uh, saying out in the media, had a bit of a protest that there were some racist remarks from the crowd in Sydney. Was it Sydney or was it? Yes, looks like it was Sydney. So he had, I think same thing is happening now. He's getting the boot and not so. He got a bit of a reception from the crowd in second innings as well when he came into bat. But yeah, so I think he was frustrated. Wasn't bowling well. Didn't get wickets. Yes, he got rid of the tail and got 4 wickets. If you look at it, in the first innings, but didn't really look threatening at all. How Australia looks at Bumrah, he was nowhere near it. So if you compare Shami versus Siraj, Shami has a lot more potential, lot more cool head, and the kind of character he has. So yeah, I think it was more of frustration that came out as a send off. He thought Travis Travis was giving him a bit of a mouthful, with the two lovely FO words, but yeah, that wasn't the case. But he thought it that way and he reacted. And yeah, a send off to a batsman who scored 140, who is the difference between the two innings, that too in front of his home crowd. Yeah, he had to cop it after that.
Yeah, like I was all for the crowd getting stuck into Siraj. I thought it was pretty fair enough. Like booing someone in front of their home crowd after they've scored 100. But the one thing that I will call out my own Adelaide fans of is the booing of Virat Kohli when he went out to bat. I thought that was just extremely distasteful and extremely disrespectful to one of the champions of our game. And he scored 100 in the last Test match in Perth. So he's not someone that you particularly want to fire up. But considering Kohli's record at Adelaide Oval and just the gravity of the player that he is, I thought that was quite disrespectful from the Adelaide crowd, and I was pretty disappointed by that because you shouldn't be booing the champions of the game. Thoughts on that, Kartik?
Yeah, I think these must have been the evening drinks. Day night test. Adelaide Oval has its own charm. So he loves the venue, not just the venue itself, Adelaide Oval. He loves the city. If you ask him, what's your favorite city, Adelaide tops it. He said, just everything is so beautiful and lovely about it, including the people. Yeah, the people didn't back him this time, but I'm sure once they get into runs, like he did in the Perth test, yeah, people would just cheer him back again.
Yeah, I think it's just disappointing because it's probably the last time that we're going to see him at Adelaide Oval unless he's playing some ODI cricket here in the next couple of summers. But you probably don't anticipate him and Rohit Sharma have much time left in Test cricket. So yeah, it would be. I don't think you'll be seeing him in 4 years' time. So yeah, a bit disappointing. But I suppose for India, there wasn't too many highlights. I thought Bumrah bowled well. I didn't think India necessarily bowled badly in this game, particularly on the first day. I just think they could have been hitting the stumps a bit more. It was said on the commentary that maybe only 15 to 20% of the balls that they were bowling were challenging the stumps in the defence. But I thought the Australians, particularly McSweeney, batted extremely well under lights on that first day. And Australia could have easily been 4 down at the end of day one. But the fact that we were able to get through 1 down, McSweeney made a good 39. I thought that was really positive signs. But I suppose the positive sign for India would be the form of Nitish Kumar Reddy, and I thought he batted really well in the first game. He was able to change momentum without his contribution of 40 in the first innings at Perth. India would have been in a world of trouble. But the fact that he's been able to score 40 plus in every single one of his innings in this Test series just shows that he's a high quality player. And for someone who's only at the age of 21, I think it's quite remarkable what he's doing. Thoughts, Kartik?
Yeah, and playing his second test, and he's shown some bit of a caliber in the first two tests that he has played. I think he is the answer what India was looking for since I don't know how many years, looking for a batting all rounder. He can swing the ball around. We saw one, in the last game. So yeah, I think he's good, very confident for a 21-year-old, and got the range of shots. He, I think, reversed hit, was it Scotty Bolland for a four or six. So it shows the kind of training that he has gone into, playing IPL. So that 360 approach came in, and that's test match is all about adaptability, how you adapt to the different situation, different bowlers, and that's what T20 teaches you, because you have to adapt to different sort of challenges. So fantastic. I think with his T20 experience and the young open mindset, walked in, and that's what India needs at the moment. Yes, bowling overall, apart from Bumrah, very very weak. If you compare it with Australian attack, yes, Mitchell Stark way too good. Similarly, you can say Bumrah is good, but out of that, you can't compare uh, Pat Cummins, Scotty Boland to the likes of Harshit Rana and Siraj. A lot of difference there. So India, skill-wise, yes, they have to bring it up. Or if you can't match it with the skill, at least match it with a bit of a mindset, bit of a confidence attacking approach, and that's something which was lacking by the Indian bowlers.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you, Kartik, about the form of the captain, Rohit Sharma, and I'm a big fan of Rohit Sharma. I think he's been fantastic for Indian cricket for a number of years, not just in red ball and pink ball cricket, but in white ball cricket. I think he's been absolutely spectacular. But there's been a run of low scores for the captain. I suppose for the last couple of years, I don't think he's been particularly solid in Test cricket, but just with the depth of Indian cricket, there are people who would be jumping for one of those, opening spots or a spot in the middle order. You see the caliber that India have on the sidelines in Sarfaraz Khan, waiting to jump in the wings. It wasn't KL Rahul wasn't even really meant to be coming out to Australia, but he's been able to take his opportunity and get himself back in the first choice lineup. What does Rohit Sharma need to do to obviously keep his spot in the side? Obviously, being the captain helps, but how much longer does he get before some genuine questions start getting asked? Because there's a big tour of England next year and a potential World Test Championship final next year as well.
Yeah, I think the only reason why his place in the side is sort of cemented is because he's a captain. Otherwise, if you look at the numbers, how he has gone in this season, it's been terrible. It's not bad. It's one of the worst you would ever see. He's averaging 11 in this cricket season, and it's I think the second lowest for a captain uh, ever in the history of the game. So very bad from the captain, not setting up those standards, uh, especially in the New Zealand series we saw recently. Here as well, yes, the ball was really good from Pat Cummins in the second innings, but yeah, look at his experience and it could have done better. Yeah, the intent wasn't there, and kind of way Bumrah led in the first test, there was attack, there was a lot of intimidation, and that was missing. So if you rate him leadership wise as well, yeah, not really going that well, but is more of a person, who keeps the team environment very relaxed, very friendly, very like sort of a way that an environment where people can just express themselves and just play freely, have that bit of a friendly banter among them, and that's something what he's been doing well. And I think, yeah, he has to. If not, then I don't think he will be continuing as a captain moving forward.
I think it's just because, we tend to ask questions of the players who are a little bit older. We had question marks on Kohli leading into the series at the age of 36. Sharma's 37. And with the big tour of England next year, if you're an opening batsman, which he could potentially go back up to the top of the order, England's not a particularly easy place to go and open the batting. So, yeah, there's a few question marks on him, but I've met Rohit Sharma before. He's a terrific fella, super kind and generous with his time. So yeah, I certainly hope that he gets back to some form. And yeah, let's look towards the third Test match now. There's a quick turnaround between the Adelaide and Brisbane Test matches. I would expect Australia to make one change, which would be Hazelwood back in for Scott Boland, and I think that's obviously very harsh on Scott Boland, who bowled very well. I think he took match figures of 5 for 105 across the two innings. So, came in, performed his job admirably. But do you think India will make any changes heading to Brisbane? Um, do you think, they might look to strengthen the batting, like trying to get Jadeja back in the side? Because I think his control is something that could be really useful, but at the same time, I feel like it very much depends on what type of wicket you're going to get up in Brisbane.
I think with Nathan Lyon might be in doubt as well. With sort of injury he carried in the Adelaide Test. So if at all that's the case, and Australia is going with a very bouncy and fast wicket, I might see four seamers playing and Nathan Lyon or Mitchell Marsh being dropped. That's just my opinion. But yeah, if the wicket is something and they want Nathan Lyon to do some magic on day 4 and 5, that's a different thing. But looking at the Indian side, I definitely see this guy Harshit Rana making way for either Mohammed Shami coming in desperate mode, or if not, then Akashdeep, who is another seamer, did well on the Indian wicket. He might come in and do do well there. But Harshit Rana, very disappointing. The kind of opportunity that he's got, second test, good wicket, 10 bowl in the right channels, and just all over the place.
Yeah, I think we kind of said this about the Australian team after they were smashed in Perth. We're not anticipating too much change, but one or two changes could occur if they need to. But yeah, I'd be looking to try and get Jadeja back in the side. Not that I think Ashwin bowled badly in Adelaide, but I think Jadeja just has that control, and I think that extra batting would be quite helpful. I expect them to stick with the same batting lineup. They had a bad game, but nothing to really be too concerned about. I think when they get back to playing against a red ball, I think they'll be a lot more comfortable. In terms of the bowling attack, yeah, I'd probably agree that Nitish Rana was um, a bit disappointing, but once again, playing his second test, yeah, Akash Deep, I thought he was pretty stiff not to be playing in Perth, to be honest. But yeah, I think he would be someone that would test the Australians bowling that sort of back of a length. I'd expect Mohammed Siraj to play, but yeah, in terms of Mohammed Shami, if he's fit and available, I would be picking him. But at the same time, he hasn't got his clearance, his medical clearance yet, so it might be a bit of a tight turnaround to get him here for Saturday's game. But in terms of Australia, yeah, Mitchell Marsh not bowling, that was a bit of a concern. He bowled only sort of two, I think he only bowled 2 overs in the first innings in Adelaide and looked very slow and ginger when he was coming into the crease. So I'd be bringing in Bo Webster if Mitch Marsh is not fully available to bowl. I think Webster, you got to pick a man while he's in form. And if Mitchell Marsh was bowling, and I'd say, yep, Mitchell Marsh can stay in, but yeah, I think if he's not available to bowl, you must bring in Webster, particularly if the wicket in Brisbane is a little bit flat. And we're hoping that one of these remaining 3 Test matches can go into the 5th day. And we saw what happened the last couple of times that India have come out to Australia. They were really able to put pressure on the big 3 quicks, and we saw the benefits of that, coming into the last Test match in Brisbane where India got over the line chasing at the Gabba. So if you're really able to get the overs into the legs of the Australian quicks, yeah, it's really going to put them under pressure. So what do you think is going to happen in Brisbane, Kartik? Australia going to go 2-1 up, or are India going to bounce back?
I think Indians will bounce back. This is like they came with a very clear intent, focus on practice, and they were strategizing well in Perth. We saw them practicing behind closed doors and no media presence, no fans presence. They had these sort of like been covered, all the fences and everything, so that no one can peep into it. But Adelaide was a different atmosphere for them at all. There were like a million people cheering them on these nets, which was a bit disturbing, I would say. So yeah, so I'm sure going in Brisbane, the focus would be there, learn from the mistakes what they've done in Adelaide, and one game doesn't really tamper too much with the sort of mindset they came in first. I'm sure India will continue with that aggressive approach. And yes, the good part about Australia is they've got back that form, the kind of confidence which was lacking after the first test. So that body language would be very different. So yeah, good challenge. I'm sure. So from both sides, and the series is level. Yeah, we'll see some good cricket.
Yeah, for me, whoever wins this Test match wins the series. For me, I feel like it's a very obvious statement, but Australia overall has an extremely good record at the Gabba, but that record's sort of been tainted in recent times with Shamar Joseph knocking over the Australians last year, and Rishad Pant scoring 89, not out on the last day to chase 330 or something like that. So the Indians will have lots of confidence going to the Gabba, but I'm expecting Australia to get up. I think they've been really, talking a lot about winning this series and regaining the trophy. And now that I think that they've got a little bit of a sniff and a bit of confidence, they've had a couple of Test matches. Um, you know, I think they're going to get on a roll here. I'm not going to say they're going to win the series 4-1, but I think they'll win 3-1 or 3-2. So yeah, it should be a really exciting game up in Brisbane. It will hopefully not be affected by the series won't be affected by any weather, and we should get a good pitch in Brisbane. But Kartik, just wanted to say a big thank you for coming on in the corner. It's always great to have your insights on the podcast.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much to those of you who are watching the podcast at home. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to all of our social media pages, and we'll see you on our next episode. Cheers.